Fred, let's come back to the fact of how guys are built and the aspects that we're dealing with. Our eyes, our mind, and our emotions here, our heart. Talk about that, and let's start to talk about how you can build a defense, what you found out through actual experience.
Well, the first thing you need to understand is what's happening in your eyes as you're looking at porn or at the bikini girl running by. The thing that happens is there's a chemical release in the brain that hits the limbic center, which is the center of the brain that handles sexual pleasure. There are a lot of chemicals involved with that. Some of the strongest chemicals in the human body, like dopamine, is 30 times stronger than cocaine. There's a lot of things that hit that brain that are very addictive, and so it makes us want to go back to the porn. It makes us want to continue to look at the girl jogging in the bikini. And it's something that we remember. Mary Ann Layden from the University of Pennsylvania is probably the most premier researcher on this in America, and what she said is this, is that chemical release, when it hits the limbic center, locks that image into the brain for all time, and that's why Steve can remember it, that's why I can remember it. The aspect then that we need to focus on is, okay, this is something that we look at, this is something that is a natural chemical reaction. It's not really, even this aspect of the eyes is not really a moral issue. It's not really a God issue. It's just the fact our eye is what it is, and as another scientist says, Jeffrey Satinover, he calls it a perfect delivery system of opioids to the brain. So we need to understand that there's a real draw here. It's very natural, and if you don't early on train yourself to guard your eyes from these images, it's going to take you down that path. So one of the things I found as I began to try to break these habits was I took 6 of the areas that I was most vulnerable to. Receptionists at work, when they would bend over, I would be able, their blouse would flop open, I would see something. The ad inserts on the Sunday morning paper, the lingerie inserts, a lot of those things that I would regularly lust after. And I made a plan with each one of those 6 on how I would defend myself. For instance, with the ad inserts, I would make a rule to myself. If I, as I would reach for it, would sense any kind of desire for lust, I had no right to pick that up that day. And I just began to put these things into practice, and what I found is that as I began to cut those images off in my life, that addictive draw that used to feel like that chain and kept drawing me back in began to break. And it took about 6 weeks. The first couple of weeks, I was failing more often than I was succeeding, but by that last week, I was winning more often than losing and actually looking away. And I found that as I began to look away, it broke those habits and set me free.